friends, welcome to Malaology. I am Teresa, Doctor of Metaphysics, Ascension Guide, and Priestess, here to share fun and easy ways to use Mala and mantra to empower you. So today we're going to do a different kind of mantra, one that I actually learned at a Tony Robbins seminar. And he did not teach us this as a mantra, but I received it and I've used it ever since on occasion when I need to. Basically, the Tony Robbins event I attended was Unleash the Power Within, also called UPW. And it's very, very empowering 4 days or 5 days where you kind of take out the old rugs of your life and blankets and shake them out in the yard to get all the junk off of it. Okay. So one of the practices that he does in this event is neuro-linguistic reprogramming. It's kind of like a hypnosis where you look at the voices in your head. You look at the messages that you send yourself. And of course, this is only scratching the surface. This practice that we did with Tony Robbins, we send ourselves a lot of messages that need reprogramming. But you take a handful, the most prevalent in your life, and you take a real good look at them and you realize that's not coming from me. That's not my voice. Those aren't my words. That came from someplace else and it's a lie. It's an absolute lie. So instead of receiving it as the voice that nags you or is constantly putting you down or questioning anything or whatever your voice does, you reject it. And you're like, you're not true. You're not a part of me. I don't receive you. So it's much more powerful. So the practice is much more powerful than just saying, hey, I don't receive you. Okay. And there is some profanity I'm not going to use right now that you would actually use against it, right? So you're really aggressively going after it as it has aggressively gone after you your whole life, right? And ever since I've attended that seminar and I did that practice, every day I've repeated this to myself at least once. I am the voice. I am the voice, right? So Ramana Maharshi talks about self-inquiry. Or he talked about self-inquiry. That was his main thing. And he was a great teacher of self-inquiry where whenever a thought arises, you ask yourself, to whom does this thought arise? To whom does this thought arise? To whom does this thought arise? Who is thinking this thought? Who is saying these words? Who is tasting this food? Who is feeling this blanket? Who is walking on this earth, right? By asking yourself, who is doing this? Who is hearing this? Who is feeling this? Who is thinking this? Who is saying this self? You're realizing, as Michael Singer so eloquently put it, you're realizing if I can witness that, if I can observe that, then I am not that. I am the witness. I am the observer. Michael Singer, another great writer, wrote The Untethered Soul and the Surrender Experiment. He really helped me to kind of, Michael Singer was the missing link for me in really, truly putting Ramana Maharshi's self-inquiry into practice, all right? And that is stepping back and outside of that voice, outside of that taste, experience, and seeing, I could not witness this if I was this, right? I couldn't hear that voice if I was speaking that, if I was that voice, right? So who is that voice, right? Who is that voice? The voice that if you have 100 pounds to lose and you lose 65, the voice says, oh, but you still have 35 to go. You can't celebrate losing 65 pounds. Or if you lose 100 pounds, the voice says, oh, I bet you could have lost 120. Refuses to allow you to find peace and self-love and self-fulfillment and give yourself self-care. Give yourself permission to just be you, right? That voice oftentimes won't allow that, right? Most of us have a really, really um, unhelpful voice. Let's just put it that way. Unhelpful. It doesn't help at all. All right. There are some that, maybe don't have such a counterproductive voice in their head all the time, but all of us have an incessant flow of chatter going on inside of our awareness, just in the background, just underneath the sheets, right? We have 60 to 120,000 thoughts every day, and those thoughts are pretty much the same from day to day. We are the programming, all the information, all the ideas, all of the words, the thoughts and the feelings that we've been programmed with over the years. They're just repeating constantly. And so we want to take control of that as much as possible. You can't design your life consciously if you are if you're working with a messy slate. For instance, you need a clean slate to design your life. You need glassy, still waters to see your true reflection, to see you. You can only see that on glassy, calm waters. The only way that you can do this, the only way to still your waters, to clean your slate, to shake out the rug, right, is to silence that voice for a minute. Silence that voice for a minute. And the only way to silence that voice for a minute is to claim that space that voice occupies. I am the voice. I am the voice. I am the voice. So, yeah, I am not the voice that tells me that I have 35 more pounds to lose, right? I am not the voice that tells me nothing I do will ever be good enough, right? That nothing I say will ever be good enough. Nothing I think will ever be worthy. That is not my voice. But I am the voice that I choose to hear right now. I am the voice that I choose to share with you right now. It's a practice that you must do all the time. Ever since I learned this, I am the voice, just something that he said. I have been brought back to this every single day of my life and had to rein in those crazy horses that take my mind for a ride every day, multiple times, and tell myself, no, I am the voice. I am the voice, right? That whoever that voice is that tells you that you're not good enough, or that you're bad, or that this won't work, it won't work, it's not even a good idea. I think twice about that. It could be it's all of the above. Teachers that you've had, parents, relatives, old friends and lovers, old neighbors, just passers-by as you were growing up, who just looked at you and looked away quickly, which told you, hey, you're not even worth looking at. You know what I mean? We take this all in, and it just fills our mind, fills the matrix that is building up when all those synapses are being formed from the time we're a baby until we're 6 or 7, 12, 23. These are, growth spurts that we have mentally. These voices, they realize that they came from nowhere, and they mean nothing. All right? They mean nothing, and they came from nowhere. And you chose, because you are a supercomputer, to take that information along with all the other information you received and compile it into something that makes sense, so that you could see yourself, get a sense of self-identity, right? Figure out what your life is, where you belong in the hierarchy of your world. And all of it is not helpful. Some of it may be helpful. All of it is not helpful, though, right? So you need to now decide where you belong in the hierarchy of your world, what your identity is, what you're going to make of your life. You get to choose all of that, but only after you decide you are the voice. Okay? So we're going to do our 108 repetitions today. And normally I would pull the beads toward me. I am receiving that energy. I am just passively in yin state where I am in a state of receptivity. But today, this is more of a yang practice, right? Not so much yin, more yang. So I challenge you to push the beads away from you as you speak this mantra. So you're putting that energy out into the universe and you're claiming this space as yours. Hear me, hear me. I am the voice, right? And you're speaking it to yourself, every bit of yourself, taking rein of the crazy horses that want to take you for a ride all over the place, take you all over the place, right? Rein them in, rein in your thoughts. And at least claim this much for yourself. I choose my direction. I choose my focus. I choose my value. I choose my value. Okay? And you probably noticed by now, I don't touch the beads with my forefinger. It's your forefinger is kind of a representation, but also a meridian that literally has a physical energy of fire or will. We point at things when we mean it, right? When we are being aggressive, we point at things as well. So I don't necessarily believe that touching your mala while doing mantra with your forefinger is bad for your mantra, but as a practice, I don't do it because I am not feeling it. I don't feel my forefinger wants to touch it. So I do feel that there is something to that. All right, so I challenge you to push away and not to use your forefinger while you do it. All right. And just own this. Own it. Okay. I am the voice. 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 So as always, that should be 108 repetitions, but I often miss some, and I am very imperfect, and I forget myself. So good job. Good job owning your own voice. Good job owning your own mind. And we really do need to take the reins of those horses, those crazy horses, every day. All right, so it's a really, really good practice, especially if you have a busy mind. Because if you have a really super busy mind that goes 100 miles an hour, slowing it down will bring you more clarity and obviously more peace in your life. Thank you for joining me with this practice. I'll see you next week for one more mantra to keep us in this kind of Ganesha wisdom enlightenment mode for January 2022. All right. We'll see you next time. Mala blessings, love, and light.